I ask who's the timer one more time? Okay, we're gonna make good eye contact today. If I understand you, the audience, correctly, I'd say you guys fall into three general groups. You either have heard the word Toastmasters, maybe Pathways, and kind of have a feel for who we are, or you've already taken the Pathways assessment quiz and you know what speech is coming up and what kind of projects you'd like to do, or you know the district director's name by heart and you can even picture his face. But what I think unites all three of us groups is that we all believe that Toastmasters has a future for us. That there's some reason why we came into this room, some sort of material benefit to our communications and leadership ability that we'd like to get. And I think the only enemy to that belief in that future is disillusionment. That is, for us to think that we came into this room for a not very good reason, that there's not actually all that much benefit we can get from the Toastmasters program, and that the speaker is actually going to be an entire jerk face. And I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about that future of Toastmasters. Not Toastmasters the program, but Toastmasters you, the Toastmasters, the members of this club. I'd like to explore that by bringing up one of my favorite words, why I think it has a bit of interesting meaning for getting the most out of your Toastmasters experience, and why I think it motivates what we should do to grow in our communications ability. Without further hubbub, one of my favorite words is preposterous, which, as many of you know, means ridiculous, absurd, nonsense. But I actually think that this word has an ambiguous meaning, and part of that comes from its very interesting etymology. Preposterous is made up of two Greek roots, pre and post. That is, it has something coming from before and something coming from after. And that's part of why that word means what it does. I mean, how can something come from before you and come from after you? That's just nonsense. That's preposterous. But I think that's exactly what we get out of every single speech act at a Toastmasters club. See, by coming up here, I'm bringing a little bit of my own past to this stage. Right now, some of my habits from years of giving speeches are coming into play, just in my vocal variety, the way in which I like and prefer to explain things. I'm also hearing in my ears the last 30 evaluations I've received, one of which has been from Valerie, where she told me, good speech overall, but keep your hands by your side and don't go over time. So we're gonna see if I manage to keep to that today. But I'm also bringing to this lectern a little bit of my own future. See, I signed up for the effective coaching path because I think that one of the things that I can do best at my club and perhaps with my own future is to coach other people to find what it is that they like doing and help them to do more of it. And I think that the effective coaching path has a little bit of interesting material and a few projects that would help me to achieve that. And I think that this is what each of us should do to get the most out of the Toastmasters experience. Bring a little bit of your own past and your own future into every speech act. Think a little bit about your own preferences, what's gone well and poorly for you in the past, bring that up here. In addition to your past, think about the past of other speakers you've seen here. If you see something I or Valerie have done up here that you like, take it, repeat it, and use it in your next speech. If you see something that either I or Valerie have done up here that you didn't like, take it. Don't repeat that. Don't use that in your own speech and be a more effective communicator. And in addition, I encourage you to bring a little bit of your own future path up to this lectern. Think about what kinds of communications you'd like to be better at. Perhaps there's some person in your life that you think you just don't get along with. Or there's some kind of communication scenario where you just don't act all that well. You don't get your point across, people don't seem to see you as an equal, and that kind of moment could be something that you work towards every time that you come up to this lectern. And I encourage you to be preposterous in the other sense as well. The next time you come up to this lectern, do some really aggressive motion just for the heck of it. Because along the way, you may find a more free and engaging form of being here. Or try a topic where you're not all that much an expert, but you could probably crack a 7-minute speech, so try it. bring it up here. Talk about something that you have a passing interest in, and the rest of the club will thank you for it. And if you're really nervous, you don't think you're going to be able to make it even to the green card, well, do the most preposterous thing you could, which is try anyway. Come on up here, assume you got what it takes to actually make it to the end of your speech, and I promise you, somehow you will actually make it to the end of this speech. And if in some way I have inspired you to be a little more preposterous today, well, if you end up being the first kind of preposterous, don't blame it on me. But if you end up being that second kind of preposterous, then I hope at the end of the meeting you'll thank me, Valerie, and the other Valerie for helping to put this experience together for you and helping you to be a better communicator and leader overall. Madam Toastmaster.